Forsaken, the final Cold War Zombies map. This map is met with extremely middling reception by some people. Some people love it, some people hate it. It's the definition of average in most people's eyes. However, is the map deserving of that reputation? Well, let's find out on the now final episode of my Zombies Retrospective series. Yes, before we hop in, I just want to say thanks to everybody who tuned in for the past, 7 months I've been doing this every Tuesday. I hope you all enjoyed and hope you guys got a lot of entertainment out of this series. But we're not finished yet, as we still have Forsaken to go over, so without any further ado, let's get right into it. Starting us out in the pro section is something Cold War struggled with a lot in all its maps, and that's the amount of side content in this map. This map is filled to the brim with side content, and I believe it was confirmed they added it just because of that criticism. Little things like all the side Easter eggs you can do for a free perkaholic, a free ray gun. You can also go to the arcade, which is a new feature inside of this map. You can get arcade tokens, you can play various arcade games. You can play a Nocturne Toten remake, where you actually get a 1911, and you have to just hold off zombies to get a bunch of free supplies, which is really cool. Another really cool thing you can do is you can actually play a mini version of Der Eisendrache. If you remember the Outbreak Dragon objective, it's pretty much that objective, but in an isolated area of the map, which is very cool, and a very clever reuse of assets, if you ask me. Overall, Forsaken has a ton of side content that I'm pretty sure a ton of people appreciate, including myself, as Forsaken definitely has a lot more in the personality department. Leading us into that is actually the characters on this map. Similarly to Mauer to Toten, but not up to quite that standard, the characters inside this map have a lot of funny quips and quotes that really get you excited to play. I personally really enjoy all the characters, the side characters inside this map. I also really enjoy Omega as well. Just like in Mauer to Toten, Omega is talking to you as the player. However, it's not just Omega, it's Requiem and Omega, and they all have a lot of cool dialogue together. And piggybacking off that point even more is the amount of in-game cutscenes this map has. When you go to turn on the power and Pack-a-Punch and all that, you actually get a mini cutscene revealing that Zykov was actually the Forsaken. This is where this map's story really starts kicking into high gear, and where Dark Ether actually begins to show a lot of potential. Overall, the amount of personality embedded in this map is awe-inspiring, and how they managed to embed this much personality into a game with a very little amount of personality where you don't even have a crew is pretty insane. Something else I really love about Forsaken is its starting room. Sure, it's just a rehash of Moon's starting room, but it's done a lot differently, as you can see the round counters, and the round counters actually carry into the game as well. And combining this with the Rampage Inducer, I mean, you can get the round 20 in 3 minutes or something like that. It really lets you skip past, in my opinion, the very slow part of zombies, which is the beginning. You can skip past that and go right to a very high round. It's kind of like having mutations, but not really. It's a very cool thing you can do to get a ton of points and just to get into the action really quick, and it's great for speedruns for this map's Easter egg. Speaking of this map's Easter egg is very good in my opinion. It's very short, as it's pretty much just upgrading the Wonder Weapon, which I'm going to talk about in a second. All you really need to do is get a neutralizer, and then you got to do a little escort, and then you're on the boss. It's very simple. It's very simple for a final map, which I think they were going for. Because, of course, it leads us to the grand finale and the grand reveal of the director being Richtofen and all that shit. And it's all headlined by a very cool boss fight with the Forsaken, which is very easy, but it's still a really cool boss nonetheless. Definitely not one of the higher ones in Cold War, but it's very cinematic, which is cool. As I was talking about with the Wonder Weapon, the Chrysalax is the new Wonder Weapon for this map. As in tried and true Treyarch fashion, every single Zombies map comes with a new Wonder Weapon for the most part. And this map is no exception, as you get the Chrysalax, which is just a battle axe made of dark Ethereum crystals. And whenever you kill a zombie, it'll automatically regen your armor. And then you can shoot a little blade out, which is great for preventing zombies from getting to you and getting through doorways. And if you hold the button down, the blade will stay longer. And the amount of damage this weapon does is insane, as it'll pretty much carry you to health cap. I believe it's a 2-shot kill at health cap, which is crazy, but that's not all. If you press up on the D-pad, or whatever it is on keyboard, you will transform the battle axe into a submachine gun variation. Unlike the battle axe, it doesn't refill your armor. However, it's a great weapon for killing zombies, and the fact you can actually pick up ammo whenever you kill a zombies. Not to mention the aesthetic of this weapon is extremely awesome. You have the whole dark ether effects going on. You have the really cool flourish animation. This weapon just screams personality, and I really feel like Treyarch hit the nail on the head when it came to personality with this map. Something else I really do like about this map is actually the amount of special enemies there are. Sure, it's a very overbearing and very overwhelming at times. However, all the special enemies on this map being here definitely provides a good amount of challenge in a game that's not very challenging. It's a very good juxtaposition to all the other maps, which are pretty easy. This map is actually pretty tough if you get into the nitty-gritty of things, and especially if you're going for the Easter egg and if you have the Rampage Inducer on. You gotta be very careful. And something I forgot to bring up in my Mauer or Totem review were Disciples. In that review, I would have put them in the pro section, of course, because they're very cool enemies. I do think there can be a little too many at times, but for the most part, the Disciples are pretty cool. But Forsaken doesn't stop there with the good things. We also have a new perk. We actually have PhD, which returns finally. All the way up in all the Cold Wars maps previously, we didn't have PhD. However, this map brings PhD back, and it makes it extremely good for transportation. And the higher you are when you fall down, you actually generate an explosion. PhD is fantastic in this game because it makes it so you can run so much faster, and it's definitely a perk you want to pick up from the beginning of the game. As soon as you can get it, you get it. You get stamina up, you get death perception, and you also get PhD, and you're good to go. You don't even need Jug right away because of armor. But you can eventually end up getting Jug, though. Overall, those are all the pros I have for Forsaken. It's a fantastic list of pros, and it's definitely something that makes this map stand on its own. However, a few things I need to talk about that I don't like. First up is the map aesthetic. I'm not a fan of it, and why is that? Because it's a reskin from the campaign. Yes, like every other map in this game, it's a reskin of another map from the campaign. And not only is it just a lousy reskin, the layout suffers greatly because of it. Instead of actually making new areas that link into each other naturally like Revelations does this very well, this map is linked by teleporters that make no sense and have very awkward points and have very bad load times as well. I don't understand what they were thinking with this, though I will say I know the team was pulled off to work on Vanguard, while the rest of the Cold War staff were tasked to work on Forsaken, and they were under a strict deadline, so they had to get the map out very fast. But man, they couldn't have at least shortened down the loading time for the amount of teleporters there are. There is a zipline that leads up to Pack-a-Punch with the trial system and all that, but man, if the zip lines were just linking all the parts of the maps together, I think that would have definitely helped it out a lot. And the last thing I would like to talk about that I'm not a fan of is actually this map's new boss, the Abomination. To be honest with you, I'm not a fan of them for about 2 reasons. The main reason is they did this exact concept of the Mimic already, with them being in Discount Margwa. Now we have Discount Margwa. Not exactly a very unique boss, not a very creative one either. Sure, it can damage zombies with its electric attack, but it's just a bullet sponge and it gets very obnoxious after a while. But that's about it for Forsaken. A very solid map and a very fitting end for Cold War in my opinion. Does it hit home runs? No, but it's definitely a solid map, and it does stand above a few of the other maps in this game.